This is False Start, a college football podcast for everyone and everyone else. I'm your host, John Buhler, lead writer for Fansided. I'm joined today by a man who's having a better day than Mark Sanchez, but I don't think he's having as good of a day as Jerry Neuheisel, Cody Williams, content director, fansided.com. UCLA has a victory. How are you?
Dude, yeah, shouts to the Joffrey Baratheon lookalike UCLA and the Sissy Blue Shirts getting the win today. Yeah, I am having a better day than Mark Sanchez. It's been a hell of a day though overall. But you know what? It's another wild day in college football in the books, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. I mean, he looks like Joey Molinaro too. You gotta ask that at the
Yeah, he
podium.
really does. That's actually way more accurate.
It's fine. Nepotism's great, or lookalikes are great too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely wild day in college football. Had two huge upsets happen. Texas fell in the swamp to Florida, and then Penn State lost on the road to UCLA in the Sissy Blue Shirts. I don't think there was another huge upset, although we had a couple of other interesting games too.
Iowa State went down, but not really an upset since Cincinnati
Yeah.
was favored in that one. But yeah, we did have that one. Not too many other upsets, but some interesting results to talk about for sure.
100%. So let's get this going here with 3 yards to the cloud of punt. What are you running with to start?
Yes, sir. I'm running the damn ball. I'm gonna start with the game we just watched, which was the U and Miami beating Florida State in Tallahassee. And we'll talk about some more teams that I'm running with, but the U's back, baby. Like
Yeah.
this, like we'll talk more about the ACC at large in this show, but the ACC at large is dog water. Like it's not a good conference at all. It's by far the worst Power Four league in the country, and I don't think it's particularly close right now. And it's Miami and then everyone else by a long shot right now. And you might look at the final score. I believe it ended up being, 28-22, or sorry, that's wrong. Anyway, 31-23, I believe was the final score. Regardless, you look at this Miami team and the only reason the score was that close is because they took their foot off the gas, man.
Yeah.
And like that's a Mario problem. You probably don't want to take off your foot off the gas as early as you did. But even when you look at what Florida State did last week in losing to Virginia, the offense was still cooking. They couldn't do diddly dick against Miami in this defense, man. And like, I think this might be a bona fide like national championship caliber defense. And with the way the offense is playing, with the way that some of these young guys are playing, particularly Malachi Tony at wide receiver, how was he not a top 50 recruit at the position? Like mind blowing stuff there. But this Miami team is clicking on all cylinders and they look dangerous. And like, I'm not sure in a season where there are so many teams that we had high hopes for coming in that haven't quite lived up to them. Miami, we didn't even have the highest hopes for, and they might be the most impressive team I've seen so far this season.
Yeah, they're certainly up there with like the Oregons,
Yeah,
Ole Misses, and Ohio States of the world. Indiana too, if you want to make it a five some there.
yeah,
But like with Miami, we're like we always knew they were capable of something akin to this. I think just Beck being healthy
yeah.
has made a huge difference. I think the fact they've got the two best edge rushers in college football in Bane and Mesidor
Hmm.
uh, against ACC competition, like they're
Yeah.
eating. And I don't think Florida State's bad by any
No,
stretch, but
God,
like this
no.
is there's certainly like a different class of teams there. I will say though, they're back to being the U. They're
Hmm.
back to being the U.
That's right.
But I don't trust Mario Cristobal with the lead at
No,
all.
no. I worry about. I don't necessarily worry about Mario Cristobal and ACC play. When we get to college football playoff time, that's when I'm going to start to get a little worried about Mario Cristobal, Cristobal ball, if you will.
Yeah, like you can't play like that versus a Georgia or an Indiana or somebody better than that.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to be up 28-3 against a team like that. Like, no matter how good your defense is, you're not going to stop a college football playoff level team, which I think Florida State's good. I don't think they're necessarily college football playoff caliber.
No, like we'll touch on that probably here in a second. Anybody
Yeah.
else you want to run? Anybody else you want to run with today too?
Yeah, we're gonna go to a conference that is took some lumps today, but not with these two teams. Alabama and Georgia, man. They played last week and this would have been an easy spot for both of those teams to come in with Alabama at home against Vanderbilt and then Georgia at home against Kentucky. And it would have been an easy spot to see a little bit of a letdown game, quite frankly. And I didn't see either of that. I didn't see any of that from either of these teams. Like Alabama was pushed, no doubt, but we're pretty high on Vanderbilt, man. This is not this isn't your granddaddy's Vanderbilt team, man. And they took body blow after body blow and answered. And I think that was really impressive. Ty Simpson, I'm eating a little bit of crow with Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson is, I think, the inexperience showed in week one, and they ironed out the kinks. Kalen DeBoer and the staff did a really good job of getting Ty Simpson on time. I think that's the biggest thing is he's not waiting for someone to run open. He's throwing guys open, and like he's making the right throws and making right plays. And really impressive to see Alabama go up and avenge the loss. Like Vanderbilt obviously wasn't going to sneak up on them like they did a year ago with the caliber of this Commodores team. And then you go to the Georgia side of the equation. Mark Stoops and Kentucky have given Georgia
Yeah.
fits over the years, and like it's never made sense. Georgia's always been the better team in these matchups, even when Kentucky's been a lot better than they are this year. But to see them kind of just go out and assert dominance, it wasn't even like they didn't put up 60 or anything like that. That's not Kirby Smart football. We're never going to see that. But like in terms of dominant Georgia wins, this is what a dominant Georgia win looks like. And to see them bounce back like that, it makes me wonder if the Alabama loss might have been the best thing that could have happened to Georgia. I don't know if you saw this, but yesterday Nick Saban was on Pat McAfee and he talked about Georgia and Georgia's players getting a little bit complacent with like the home winning streak, the 33 game winning streak that ended last week. And that's we know what Kirby Smart is. He's a master motivator. And if you need to, get the complacency out of your team, that's a hell of a way and a hell of a bit of ammunition to be able to do that. And it kind of looked like that's what happened.
Way to cover the spread, Georgia. Haven't done that in a long time.
Hell yeah, brother.
I think they've covered it 5 times since we've been doing this podcast.
Yeah, Kirby is not Lane Kiffin. That's what you need to know.
No, and Lane Kiffin provided even more motivation for when Georgia plays them in 2 weeks. He says, "Yeah, dynasties are dead." Kirby's like, "The hell they are."
Hmm.
Kiffin's no longer the plucky underdog. Like he's the favorite now, and you got to come into Athens and play between the hedges. I'll go with Georgia, and then I'll go back to Alabama here
Yeah,
in a second. With Georgia, it's. Again, there's still things they need to figure out. They have no pass rush whatsoever. Gosh, I love them running the ball with Chauncey Bowens. It's like Nick
yeah.
Chubb 2.0 again. London Humphreys backed up. He called this thing a donut game, which I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that.
It's not as mean as you thought it would be, but he's really kind of stepped up his game a lot.
Mhm.
And Georgia's really got some fantastic receivers out there, with him, Dylan Bell,
Yeah, I was about to say
Zachariah
Dylan Bell learned
Branch.
how to catch the ball, which is a big development for the dogs.
I mean, you brought this up last year. He was forced into being wide receiver one with
Mhm.
Colby Young's legal situation and Ra Thomas's other legal situation.
Yeah, more serious legal situation yeah.
Yeah. But those reps mattered. I'm not going to give Glenn Schumann any praise for defense. We don't
No.
need to give that Buffett a pat on the back. We don't need to break our hand. But I will say though, if Mark Stoops gets fired, he's going to go work in Georgia next year.
Yeah,
He should be our defensive coordinator.
that'd be sick.
It'd be
And
sick.
Glenn Schumann go ride some pine. I don't know. Kirby's probably not going to fire him, but you might get demoted for sure.
When I was playing high school lacrosse, somebody had like an insult to somebody. It might have been to me. I don't know. I probably blacked it out at that point. It says, "Why don't you go count panels on the sidewalk?"
One, two, three.
And then with Alabama, like it would have taken a lot for Vanderbilt to play up to that lofty standard again. And Vanderbilt looks legit. I mean, most people don't go to the Death Star and win. Diego Pave did not play very well at all. He was
No.
pressing, very cocky. Maybe don't invite Johnny Manziel to your next game.
Yeah, maybe don't do that. Maybe don't maybe you and Cedric Alexander shouldn't be talking pregame about, we'll blow them out or essentially we'll blow them out if we play our game. Like, no, you won't, brother. I
No.
promise you.
Because as you're watching this game, we see a guy that's like a fun college quarterback, and we watch a guy that's an NFL prospect in Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
Ty Simpson looks like Matthew Stafford out there. I've been so impressed.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's like a 5 star. Like, when's it going to happen? He's making throws that Penix wouldn't even do. Like,
Yeah.
he's looking like Penix in the system, except between the hash marks. This guy, I mean, I haven't watched as much Dante Moore as I probably want to, but Simpson, what I've seen him at quarterback this year, like beyond impressive.
Yeah, no, he's He's made a believer out of me. I've been as dubious of Ty Simpson as could possibly be. I couldn't get what I saw against South Florida a couple of years ago out of my head, and it's out of my head now. That's for sure. That's for damn sure. And I mean, I think, end of the day, I wonder what the ceiling is for Alabama because Pavia played poorly and pressed. There were some opportunities because of that Vanderbilt missed. I'm not sure that this Alabama defense is the world beater that we thought they could be coming into the season. But at the same time, I think this offense is much better than I thought it was going to be coming into the season. So maybe that levels out and that makes Alabama a national championship contender.
Yeah, Jam Miller played really well
Mhm.
second game back. I thought that they could have taken their foot off the gas versus Vanderbilt, but like I feel very confident that Alabama is going to be one of 4 or 5 SEC teams to make the playoff.
Yeah.
I feel right now that the Florida State loss, like it happens. This is the college football that we live world we live in right now, and you have the ability to get better as the year progresses. And Alabama's not a perfect team,
No.
but
But is there a perfect team in college football? That's the real question because I think the answer is no.
no, I would say Oregon's probably the closest at this point, but I think they're still kind of improving a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, like, Oregon also has a lot to prove just like institutionally at this point. Like we've talked about it many times. Like Oregon has been the poster child for getting there and then not showing up. Like that's kind of been Oregon's MO when it comes to big games, big college football playoff, big game postseason games, I should say, in the college football playoff era. And, you know, that's still a question hanging over Dan Lanning's head.
Uh, no wonder that Chad Paris played there.
That's right.
I laughed so hard when I saw that. I'm like, that's unbelievable. It's so mean. Anytime they use like a real team's like name, image, and likeness, and your
Mhm.
team's usually asked. It's usually like the California Angels.
That's right. It can happen.
It could happen. And I'm gonna run with some stuff here real
Let's
quick.
do it, baby.
I'm gonna run with Brennan Sorsby being the best quarterback in the Big 12. I'm also gonna run with Texas Tech not being soft, and I'm gonna run with I'm gonna break Jesse Palmer's heart. And I'm gonna say Texas A&M may not be a paper tiger. So yeah.
Yeah. Let's start with Sorsby. What did you see from Sorsby today? Because you not to pat myself on the back, but you had Iowa State winning this game. I had Cincinnati winning this game. And I don't think this is necessarily like a death knell for Iowa State by any stretch. We'll talk
No.
about that in a second. But like I do think that we need to give Cincinnati a little more respect than we were. I'm still never going to trust Scott Satterfield. I'm going to be very clear about that, but I do trust Brendan Sorsby quite a bit.
I think with him, when I watch every other Big 12 quarterback, maybe not Baron Morton, he's probably the only other one that I kind of feel this way about. Maybe Sam Levitt on occasion. I don't feel he presses. I don't
Yeah.
feel when I watch Sorsby play that he's ever getting too high or low. Rocco Beck will press.
Mhm.
Jalen Daniels will press. Avery Johnson will hella press. Sawyer Robertson will press.
Avery Johnson wakes up pressing, brother.
He presses play on his stereo while he's reading some Tiger Beat. That's what he's doing.
That's right. His Walkman is bumping.
Bump into some David Cassidy, am I right?
That's right.
But I think with Sorsby, he was like last year for Cincinnati. We saw glimpses of this. I believe he
Mhm.
played previously at Indiana, if I'm not
hmm
mistaken.
Yeah, and he looks good under yeah, at Indiana too.
And the Scott Satterfield of it all still kind of scares me. If not for a 3-point loss to Nebraska at Arrowhead, like we may have Cincinnati, occupying the Big 12 champion spot that
hmm
Texas Tech has right now.
Yeah.
And I think like more importantly, I think Satterfield just like trusts him to go out and figure it out. This is essentially what happened last time Cincinnati had a really good quarterback with Desmond Ridder and Luke Fickell.
Yeah.
It's the world's weird, man.
I think I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that Sorsby might have a better future than Desmond Ridder. I don't know. I don't want to reach too far there, but just maybe.
I don't know. Did Desmond Ridder deliver Mark Sanchez food?
Talk about a tough day to be a DoorDash driver, man.
This was in Indianapolis, not Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, 100%.
This is the
Somehow.
biggest. This is the biggest arrest to happen in Indianapolis since Pat McAfee went swimming.
That's right.
I've been on fire here, but yeah, Sorsby's really got Cincinnati, not just a cute, fun story, but a team that could
Yeah.
potentially get to Arlington here. It was going to take some time for UC to level up
Hmm.
and get ready to do, Power Four competition. I mean, they can always play like that when they were in the American, but it's all about recruiting. Again, this is
Yeah.
probably not necessarily the least resourced team in the Power Four, but like athletic department is really lacking.
No, 100%. And I mean, you all like obviously you're going to play second fiddle in the state to Ohio State, but you are in the state of Ohio. You are in a
Yeah.
very talent-rich area of the country in terms of recruiting. Like you have the potential there if you can get things going in the right direction. And like I'm not ready to give Cincinnati the Big 12 title by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not even sure if I'm ready to put them in Arlington yet. But at the same time, it is the type of season where 8, 9 wins is looking very, very doable for this team. And like that's something that could really jumpstart Cincinnati into being like a perennial threat in the Big 12 because you like we talk a lot about the geography of the Big 12 and like how, UCF is at a disadvantage because of that. And UCF is playing well this year, no doubt about it. But Ohio, like being in Cincinnati, that gives you a very like talent rich portion of the country, but you're also not as far removed from the rest of the Big 12. Like you still kind of have like you're advantageously geographically isolated, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're not terribly far from Iowa State or West Virginia or
Hmm.
anything like that.
Yeah.
And, with you being the number two team in your state, like, why can't you be what Michigan State is when Michigan State's good?
Right. And like UCF in Florida, like they're what, fourth fiddle in the state of Florida, if not further, like if they're not behind USF at this point.
Yeah, like I mean, and those top five schools in Florida all hold their own, but like
Yeah.
there's still like too much. That's like being the fifth best program in Texas, which at this point would be, God, I don't even know who that would be. Probably
I
Texas.
was about to say Texas, maybe.
Yeah. So my other two things that I had here, speaking about Texas Tech not being soft, like this is a completely different Texas Tech team than like we grew up with. Again, we were in high school, like when the peak Mike Leach, Graham Harrell, Michael Crabtree era,
Mhm.
Craig James in the woodshed and everything
That's
like
right.
that. We've kind of gotten back to a point where the Red Raiders are almost appointment television. Like I had
Hmm.
them on like I mean they were on my number two screen all night
Yeah.
for this game, and they really beat the tar out of Houston, who hadn't lost yet.
Yeah.
And again, that was a team that was playing really hard for Willie Fritz and everything like that. I think the big thing with Texas Tech is Joey McGuire is such a fantastic recruiter.
Hmm.
He's not an X's and O's guy. I think he's like a linebackers high school coach.
Right.
But if you can be the CEO type and you can empower people around you, I mean, imagine if they still had Zach Kitley, and I think he's coaching at FAU. If he was still on staff, imagine how much better this team would be even now. I think this is a team that's kind of the toast of the Big 12 right now. Again, a lot can change here, but you beat a team that hadn't lost yet pretty handily. And
Hmm.
as we see the Red Raiders and everything climb up here, like it'll be interesting to see where we rank them in the
Hmm.
college football playoff rankings. Like they may not be at the 11th seed anymore for me tomorrow.
No, I'll go ahead and say they're definitely not going to be for me because when you look at how Houston got to this point undefeated, and like they haven't played world beaters by any stretch of the imagination, but Houston was like their identity is muddying things up and getting like making things visible. Like it's Willie Fritz football. Like that's what we're looking at. And Texas Tech was like, okay, cool. We have better athletes, bigger guys to be able to do that, to dominate you physically in every sense of the game. And like that's not something you've been able to say about Texas Tech in a very long time. And I mean, probably not in like our college football like memory, quite frankly. And so like this is a different era of Texas Tech. And like I think the most impressive part about it is they're combining this physicality with still some of that Texas Tech identity. Like they're still explosive as hell. Like Baron Morton is playing really well. You have athletes galore on in terms of skill positions, but now you have the trenches to match up with that. And like that's a really dangerous combination. I'm to the point now where I'm looking at Texas Tech not just as like the Big 12 like favorite. I think this is a team that can win a playoff game. Like that's where I'm at with Texas Tech looking at them right now.
Yeah, they're kind of giving off the vibes of what Arizona State did a
Hmm.
year ago, where I
Yep.
don't think that this is. I mean, they almost beat Texas a year ago. Like
Yeah.
this is a team that's not going to be like, "Oh, thanks for having us." Like they
Yeah.
can win. they can win a playoff game or two. Maybe not two, but they can win a playoff game.
They can win a playoff game. And to your point about Joe McGuire, like I think one of the things that we underrate about his background, with having such a strong like Texas high school football background, and like what, and obviously that's super advantageous for recruiting. We're seeing that play out very beneficially for the Red Raiders. But I think like one of the big things that I think about that, so you think about high school coaches, what are high school kids playing for? Like nothing. Like I didn't care about like the name on my jersey when I was playing high school sports. Like you're playing because you like if you like it's all about motivating and like your coach there. And so like this isn't someone who's just getting talent in there and being a CEO type, not calling X's and O's. This is a dude who like you listen to how these players talk about Joe McGuire. You listen to how Joe McGuire talks about his players. Like this is like one of the strongest relationships that you're gonna see. Like he takes his recruiting relationships and he builds it through 4 years at this program or however long these transfers are gonna be there. And like I don't think that can be underrated in this era of college football when there's so much player movement and so much money being thrown around that like having guys who, yes, they're probably being paid handsomely, but you still have a guy in the building who's going to get you motivated to play for that money. That matters a hell of a lot.
I'll tie a bow on this before I get to A&M here in a second. So we get the guy who's shaking babies and kissing hands. I'll say this: Joe McGuire is what Butch Jones wishes he could be, but Butch Jones is a raging dork.
Yes, 100%. Joe McGuire is at least semi cool.
Uh,
I'm not going to give him the full blown cool title, but he's semi cool.
Butch Jones dunked into a trash can so Joey McGuire could beat Houston on a Saturday night.
That's right. I mean, that's what every kid dreams of, right?
Apparently, that's what Peyton Manning dreams of. Tough
Yeah.
day for the Mannings. But
Yeah, not
anyway,
great.
as far as like A&M is concerned, they're making me feel things,
Hmm.
and I don't know. Everything in my life says, don't believe this, don't believe this, don't believe this. But there's kind of, I mean, there was a point there when it was like with Johnny Manziel there, with Mike Evans, Jake Matthews, Luke Joeckel, like that era of
Hmm.
Aggies football under Kevin Sumlin, where it was a lot of fun.
Yep.
There was like a 10-2 ceiling there. But in this day and age, that's good enough to make the playoff. I will say, I just came to this like because I'm watching the game. They beat the tar out of Mississippi State.
Hmm.
Mississippi State couldn't do much offensively. They kept it close for a while there defensively, but and the Mississippi State's not bad. Mississippi
No.
State's going to win about 7 or 8 games this
Yeah.
year.
100%. And it like this is a very convoluted analogy, and I'm very aware of that. So just know that going into it. But, the phrase death by a thousand cuts, like that's a very common phrase. Texas A&M tonight looked like a team. Like, have you ever seen those artists who like they make like a bunch of different cuts in paper and like you're like, what the hell are you doing? And then they like it's not even like a snowflake. Like they open it up and it's just like art. Like they made art and like you just thought it was cuts. That's what Texas A&M was doing. Like this game was ugly for like 2.5 quarters, and you're like, why? Like how can Texas A&M not really pull away from this Mississippi State team, especially when Mississippi State's not being able to do much offensively? And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, here's Craver, here's Concepcion, here's Ruben Owens the second, here's like Marcel Reed, like like it was just body blow after body blow after body blow, and then they were able to just land seven haymakers in a row, and like that kind of feels like what this Texas A&M identity is. And frankly, when you think back on Texas A&M teams, despite all the talent, outside of Johnny Football, when has this team ever had an identity? Because I don't think that, like, when I try to think back, especially in the Jimbo Fisher era, like, there's not been an identity where you can, like, definitively say, other than, wow, look at the talent that this team has. This team is talented, obviously, but I feel like Mike Elko has them playing towards an identity, which I think really matters.
I mean, how much do you remember of Mike Sherman or RC Slocum back in the day? Like, not a whole hell of a lot. It's
No.
kind of like Ryan Tannehill do this or Dat Win do that. It was
Yeah,
basically
exactly.
you go back to your pointing your painting analogy. It's like, our analogy, it's like pointillism. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
whereas, Texas A&M of the past is basically let's give Jackson Pollock $1 million worth of paint. He's just gonna fart something on a canvas.
That's right.
Uh, but I was sitting there thinking about this, like, what is different about A&M and why am I willing to admit like they're going to win 10 games or so? I mean, you've gotten quality wins. You beat Notre Dame already. Like
Hmm.
that's
Yeah,
significant. Notre Dame's playing a lot better.
yeah.
Um, Mississippi State's not bad. You've got another quality win there too, don't you?
I think so. They be.
They beat somebody else, right?
We're looking at it. We're looking at it. Google, don't fail me now. Auburn. We beat Auburn.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's going to be worse after next week, but that's okay.
Yes, true.
I was sitting there thinking, like, what is it about A&M that's different? It's the identity. It's a combination of two really good programs coming together at a program that has all the resources.
Yeah.
You've got the Mike Elko Duke experience of
Hmm.
like, we're just going to win a lot of games in a basketball school with people who, are a lot of three stars.
You're right.
Um, and then you got with Colin Klein offense, like we got the peak like K-State, Bill Snyder sort of stuff. And it's coming together kind of in a way that blends so well with the financial advantages that A&M has.
Yeah.
I also found with Marcel Reed out there, like he's kind of got a little bit of the Sorsby element, maybe not quite to the degree of Simpson, but like he's not afraid when he's out there.
No.
I
God,
think
no.
his teammates really rally around him, which is like I haven't felt this way about an A&M quarterback since Mansell.
No, 100%. And like, he's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I still don't think he knows how to throw a short pass to save his life, but throws a damn good deep ball, and he has two of the best deep ball wide receivers in the country. So that'll work out.
Yeah, Concepcion.
That's right. NC State's finest.
I know, man. So that's what I kind of got for run. What do you want to pass on? Not punt on, pass.
Let's pass on Arch Manning because what the hell, brother? We'll start. I mean, we've got a lot to pass on. Texas being upset in the swamp in Gainesville, Penn State being upset in the sissy blue shirts at UCLA. We've got Florida State not being, embarrassed in the same way that those two were. You lost to Miami, who's a top three team in the country, but all three of those teams, the playoffs pretty much done for them, man.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of where you have to start there. We'll start with the playoff hopes of those. Like Penn State, it's I wrote in the projected AP Top 25 that I did for fansided.com. I wrote that there's probably a lot of people in Happy Valley really wishing the driver would come home because this team's not going 10-2 this year. You're driving here, baby. Like 9-3 at best, most likely 8-4. You're driving down here. Like this team is just wholly disappointing. And like the whole book on James Franklin throughout his entire tenure has been you lose the big games, which you lost that last week, but you win the games you're supposed to win. Well, damn it, you're supposed to beat UCLA, who looked like the worst, one of the, I won't say the worst because I'm a fan of the team who might actually be the worst P4 team, but one of the worst P4 teams in the country. And man, you made Nico look like what Nico was supposed to be coming out of high school. Like I truly, even if you were down on Penn State after the loss to Oregon last week, I truly don't know how you could have seen this coming. But it is the most definitive death knell I've ever seen in terms of someone's college football playoff hopes.
They did not have the best odds with FPI percentage last week. Like they were like among the first four out. They were
Yeah.
at like what 32, 35%. It'll be so interesting to see what it is tomorrow or come Monday. Like we're talking like 12%. Like they gotta not only win out, they're gonna need some help because that UCLA loss is so damning. And this
Mhm.
also requires they have to beat Indiana and they have to beat Ohio State.
And how
And
can you have faith that that's going to happen at this point? Like by the numbers, yes, you have to like give them that 12% chance. If we're being realistic, that's too high because like based on what we've seen, there's no shot of either of those things happening.
yeah. I do the Big Ten power rankings for Badger of Honor, and going into this week, I've got Penn State ninth.
Yeah. How could you
Like,
not?
okay, we know Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana are all better. I think Michigan's better. I think
Hmm.
Illinois is better.
Hmm.
Nebraska's better. I think USC is better, and I think Washington's better.
Yeah.
And I had to debate like, are you better than Maryland or Iowa? That's where we are.
You might not be better than Maryland. Maryland and Washington might like those look like two equal teams to me today.
Like, congratulations, you are better than Minnesota, Michigan State, and Rutgers. Like, congratulations.
Yeah, not the bar you were looking to clear if you're James Franklin.
Like, you look at what happened with Georgia and you look what happened with Penn State. And I never bought into Penn State entering the season. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is just pyrite. This is fool's gold. And I'm like, what is the biggest difference between Georgia and Penn State? Because it's the same amount of talent. And I think, you know, Jim Knowles is not taking as defensive coordinator. Glenn Schumann's still worthless.
Yeah.
Mike Bobo called a really good game. Andy Koltnecki called a screen pass. Corey Long was just dying in real time. It was like, are you kidding me? What did you do here? I think the big difference is Kirby Smart runs laps around James Franklin. Gunnar Stockton's actually good, and Drew Aller's not.
Yeah, I want to reiterate the point that maybe you should have kept Bo Pribula because had you, you might be able to make a quarterback change right about now.
Yeah, you can dig through the ditches and burn through the witches, and you slam the back with Bo Pribula, man. But you can't do that now because he's at Mizzou.
Yeah. And then moving on to Texas, man, like I I was pretty convinced coming into this game that even if Arch Manning didn't play well, that the defense would be able to carry them, to against the Florida team that had looked pretty lifeless offensively, like pretty poorly coached. Like that's one of the many reasons why Billy Napier was in the hot seat is his side of the ball where he's calling the plays had looked so poor. And didn't look at this game. DJ Lagway played a hell of a game. We saw what DJ Lagway is capable of and why everyone was so high on this Florida team coming into the season. I had a buddy text me and he said, "Isn't Florida supposed to be ass?" And I was like, "Well, that's a very complicated question because coming into the season they were not supposed to be
No,
ass. They were supposed to be quite good, but they had been ass through their first four games." And this is the Florida team that we were expecting to see. And so, like, I do want to give Florida some of their flowers for what happened in this game. But it really comes down to Texas, man. And like as much faith as I have in this defense, you can't rely on it to the level that they were with like how poorly the offense is playing. You can't run the ball and then your quarterback, and for every one good throw that he has, he makes two that you're like, brother, how did you have a fourth and fifth star next to your name? You look like a three-star.
a lot of things to unpack here. Like I said at the start of the year, like you have to win two of three,
Hmm.
or you have to win one of three between Ohio State, Florida, and Georgia. You've already lost your first two, and I did not anticipate Oklahoma or Texas A&M being this good. This is a 7-5 team.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm sitting here thinking about this. We talk about level of comp. He basically played what 2 or 3A
Hmm.
Christian private school in New Orleans. Like he's going up against the guys he's beating the snot out of in UTEP. When you this is why he wasn't going to turn pro. This is why it's taken some time. Gunnar Stockton wasn't playing against a lot of good players, like
Yeah,
2-star at Georgia. I mean, Beck played like high level in Jacksonville, so like
right.
he kind of was came in and was able to do that. But this matters. And I was sitting there thinking about this from the Florida's perspective. I think the players still like Napier. I think
Oh
that they
yeah.
do. I can tell. I think I don't know how I can definitively say this. Maybe I'm wrong here. I think the players on Texas know Arch can't play.
I think that's definitely fair. It's what it feels like. That's what the vibe is.
Yeah, I don't think they hate him as a person. They're just like he just doesn't have it right now. Maybe he will at some point.
Yeah.
But
I'm not ready to write off Arch Manning as like for his entire football career. Like, let me be clear about that. But what we've seen right now, he is actively the reason that Texas is not going to live up to its potential.
yeah, like the fact that I think this is gonna probably be a 7-5 team is I'm not ruling that out. This
Yeah.
is it's very likely. I mean, maybe 8-4 if you get one of those games, but like what have you seen out of Texas versus I think they've lost their last 2, 3 games versus Power Four competition.
Yeah. It's not, I mean, they played two Power Four teams this year and they lost both of them. So here we are. And gotta share one of my softball teammates who's a big college football guy messaged me today. Also, he's a Texas Tech fan, so he's having a good time this season. But he texted me and he said, "I think number 16 might be adopted." And I was like, "Damn, brother."
This there's nothing quite like seeing him throwing a horrible interception and you see a Chad Powers commercial and then uh you see a State Farm or Nationwide commercial and you see a Jersey Mike's commercial back to back to back.
Oh yeah. Nothing quite hits just like it. It's like you know what it's honestly very similar to, and obviously he turned his career around in the NFL, but do you remember all the progressive commercials with Baker Mayfield during like his
Yes.
rookie year with the Browns? Like that's what this feels like right now.
I don't know what RSN stuff you see with the Red Sox, but there was nothing. It was the same thing. Like see Michael Harris there in his Ford Bronco, and like you can't hit an effing baseball,
Yeah,
or
it's not good, man.
or Austin Riley with like something with like Coors Light or whatever it is. It's like Where's your dog in you, man?
Yeah, not good. Not what you want.
Uh, I think the one I feel bad for is Florida State because
Yeah.
if they put in the SEC, they wouldn't be out of this. But because the ACC schedules, I don't know how it's so weird. Like every other league, like it feels like they play each other, but like the ACC is like all these teams that are undefeated are never going to play each other. They're going to be playing a lot of Stanford and Boston College. Boston College is awful.
Boston College is, I mean, you look at the rest of Virginia's schedule, and it's like, I'm not sure Virginia is great by any stretch of the imagination, but like, there's a really good chance that team's playing in Charlotte.
Yeah, they might go 11-1, and you lose to NC State by 4. That's a rivalry game. Who cares?
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. I mean, like, legitimately looks like we're trending towards Miami versus either Virginia or Georgia Tech. And like, no disrespect to either of those teams. They're good teams, to be clear, but they're not what you would consider conference championship caliber. But
Before
they
we get
are
on
this year.
before we get on the second half of your punt here, so Penn State's got a lot of problems.
Yeah.
It seems as though Texas has a schedule and Arch Manning problem. What's Florida State's issue, if you could
I
figure that?
I think we jumped the gun a little bit on calling Florida State back after the Alabama game. I think that game had a lot more to do with Alabama finding its footing than it did with Florida State being some sort of juggernaut or anything like that. I think that with, Gus Malzahn and this offense, like you're going to be able to just run amok against certain teams. That's not going to be the case every week, especially when you face a defense the caliber of Miami's particularly, but like you're not going to be able to do that. And like I think in like the grand scheme, if you zoom out, we need to remember this was a 2-10 team a year ago. And like you're not going to go from 2-10 to college football playoff. Like that's a very like it's not impossible, but it's pretty damn close. And like I think that we're seeing Florida State get itself under Mike Norvell back on the right trajectory, but you're not at the end of the journey yet. Like I think like if we saw next year that Florida State is competing for a college football playoff spot, that would not surprise me because I do have faith in Mike Norvell. I do have faith in what that program is capable of. But I think that with the way things deteriorated last year, you had a lot of rebuilding to do. And like I still think Florida State probably wins 8 or 9 games this year. And that's a hell of a rebuild from 2-10 a year ago. And like I think that the Alabama game kind of like overly inflated our expectations for what we should have been expecting for the Seminoles.
Yeah, that was week one. Weather wasn't great from what I
Yeah.
remember there in Tallahassee.
And I
And
mean, like the weather played right into Gus Malzahn's hands too.
yes, the man loves to get dirty.
Yeah, he does.
But like, Florida State with Tommy Castellanos has become Thomas Castellanos at Boston College, an 8-4 team.
Yeah,
They
100%.
they got to recruit better out of high school under Mike Norvell because you're not the portal whiz that Lane Kiffin is.
Hmm. 100%. I mean, we saw that like you went and got DJU in the portal last year. That tells you everything you need to know there.
And we got some coaches you
Yeah.
want to pass on
Yeah,
to.
we'll pass quickly on some coaches. I don't want to belabor the Luke Fickell conversation, but I know the buyout's quite penal. You got to pay it. I don't
Yeah.
I don't care. And I think we've touched enough on James Franklin, but just to reiterate that point, like you're not even driving, man. You're not even the driving instructor this year. Like, and that's in the year that you were supposed to have everything come together, you're not even going to get to your baseline 10-2. Like, get the hell out of my face with that. And then we don't have to belabor this point because I protect my mental health on this podcast, but give Bill Belichick the hell out of Chapel Hill. I can't do this. I can't I literally watched one play of the game, Bueller. I watched the trick play that Clemson scored on, and I was like, yeah, we're done here. I'm not watching another second of this game.
Sometimes I ask myself, where's your mental health, Bueller? I'm drowning at the bottom of the pool and I'm hoping that my anus does not get stuck on the suction pipe.
That's what
That's
I mean, that's what Bill Belichick's doing currently as the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. Jesus Christ.
he thinks he's getting a colonic, and in reality, he's getting something a lot worse.
Maybe that's what he's into with old Jordan.
Keep it clean, keep it PG-13, I suppose. But so I got some thoughts here. I'll try to the Fickle thing, like what Mark Knight and I have to go through every week
Yeah.
covering this team as not fans is like. He's a Washington fan. He's ecstatic this week.
Yeah,
George, I'm pretty happy too. We got to cover this Fickell thing. The man, I there is not a bigger idiot in the Power Four than Luke Fickell.
yeah.
He should be fired tomorrow, and he probably will be. It was You had the bye. You gave all your first team reps over the course of 2 weeks to Danny O'Neil, and then an hour and a half before the game, you give it to something called Hunter Simmons,
Hmm.
who didn't play that horribly. I
No.
think just the problem was he doesn't have the limited playbook. What can he possibly do in Jeff Grimes' situation? I mean, he just transferred from Southern Illinois after 5 starts. Mike Tressell's defense played its ass off. Sure, it confused Sharon Moore and Bryce Underwood all day. And then Fickell just like taking all of his timeouts in his pocket, essentially conceding. I saw some tweet out there saying like this is a guy that either 100% knows he's going to get fired or knows he's 100% safe. And
Hmm.
he is the man can't change a light bulb. I said he's a substitute teacher that like is hungover every day watching the same movie, and he's not Ned Schneebly, he's Dewey Finn. Can't even play a goddamn triangle. So stupid.
Mr. Schneebly out here. No, but I mean it's gotten like Michigan didn't even play well today. I think
Yeah.
that it's like the game wasn't close and Michigan played poorly. Like that's all you need to know. And like Wisconsin's not, or let me rephrase that. Wisconsin should not be a program that loses comfort or loses handily to a opponent that is not vastly superior than them talent wise. And like that's what happened today.
This is the worst team in the Big Ten by
Yeah,
considerable margin.
yeah,
It's
agreed.
not it's not close. There's no optimism there. The only thing that's great about it is we're all going to die one day. Uh,
That's how North Carolina football feels right now too, brother.
I'll throw some stuff about Franklin and Belichick real quick. I think with James Franklin, it's just like this is Mark Rick, Georgia, and obviously Mark Rick is not doing very well right now. He looks incredibly frail, and I feel really
Yeah.
bad for him. But
Yeah,
that
best
guy,
wishes to Mark Rick, man. That's tough.
and I understand that like James Franklin had to kind of come in a post like Bill O'Brien and Joe Paul world, but like you have the resources here. Like it should have happened. Like when Rick came into Georgia, Georgia was not good in the 90s at
Yeah,
all. You still won SEC championships. You would have made the playoff 3 or 4 times,
right.
had that existed in a 12-team format or even a 14 format at that point. We're talking about a Hall of Fame coach and we're talking about a Hall of Fame driver.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
And then I guess with Belichick here, it's just like, uh,
The team
you know,
doesn't give a damn, dude.
no,
Like, no, they don't want to be playing for this man.
no, they met. They like, oh, I get to play for Belichick. Actually, I hate him. You probably need to get rid of Bubba Cunningham too, and get rid of Hubert Davis just all at one time.
Also, the entirety of the Belichick family that has infiltrated this staff. Like, Steve Belichick, I actually thought Steve Belichick did a great job at Washington last year. Like, given everything that Washington lost last year, I thought that Steve Belichick did a really good job coaching that defense. Where the hell is that in Chapel Hill? Because I'm not seeing it on the field. Like, what are we doing?
This is a one and done thing. You're going to hire a real head coach. You need a new athletic director too, because this
Yeah.
is just. I'm trying to figure out like. I mean, I don't even know where you go. Who you go get? I was gonna say Andy Kotelnicki, but that guy can't change the light bulb either. That guy's a moron.
Just hire me, man. At this
Yeah.
point, I don't know diddly dick about X's and O's, but I can do better than this.
I'll tell you what, Arthur Smith would do a better job than what we're
Yeah,
watching today.
100%. 100%.
I don't know if you'd ever throw the football, but like,
At least we'd have an identity. At least there'd
yeah,
be something that you could bank on. There's like this team is just dead in the water the moment they step on the field.
give it to TJ Yates. And
That'd be sick. I'd be all about that.
I kind of want to keep him because Zach Robinson's going to be gone soon.
That's right.
One of those mini crossovers here, but yeah, that's a tough go of it for your heels, man. I'm feeling there for you, but like at least Clemson's not good, even though they won today.
Yeah, I made a joke earlier that if Cade Klubnik got to play 12 games against North Carolina, he would indeed be a Heisman candidate.
He's gonna sell some insurance, dude.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I'm gonna get us out of here with some punt here. I know we took a little bit longer than we wanted to, but today was wild. I'm gonna punt on Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt being down for the count, Iowa
Mhm.
State being out of it in the Big 12, and I still don't really trust Oklahoma.
Mhm.
So here's what we'll probably unpack this more on a Monday show with Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt. As I was watching this game, I know he didn't play very well. He turned the ball over two or three times.
Mhm.
This is not Vanderbilt of old. As I was watching them go against Alabama, I'm like, this has felt like Lane Kiffin Ole Miss kind of going up
Yeah.
against them. Like this is or Josh Heupel, Tennessee. Like hasn't quite been a playoff team, but certainly is holding up. It's into the bargain in SEC play. Frankly, I think Vanderbilt now under Clark Lee looks better than it ever has under Brian Kelly at LSU.
No, I mean, it's truly remarkable to see what Vanderbilt is right now because like to your point, watching today's game, and I have a good friend who is an Alabama fan, and like him texting me during this game, I don't think I've ever gotten a text during an Alabama Vanderbilt game before last year, when I, from an Alabama fan. And like it they're not necessarily equals. I don't think like I'm not going to go stretch it that far, but it feels like Alabama fans are legitimately like locked in to this game when Vanderbilt just 2 years ago, quite frankly, when Clark Lee was still building what we're seeing now, they were the doormat. They were the doormat in the game that you could go apple picking if your favorite SEC team was playing Vanderbilt on the SEC schedule because you knew it was going to be a dub. And like that's not the case anymore. Vanderbilt lost today. I still feel that, and I don't think like they're necessarily going to run the table or anything, but even with a loaded schedule that they still have left, they can beat anyone on that schedule, and I feel fully confident in that.
I was looking at it. That was the hardest game they got to play, and
Yeah.
in Knoxville to end the year, that's going to be tough. But that's a huge rivalry game.
Yeah.
That might be a playoffs berth potentially on the line.
That'd be sick. That'd be
That might
so sick.
like what we were talking about Palmetto. I think it could actually be that game. And I think with Vanderbilt, like I don't know if Pavia is an NFL player because well, Brock Purdy's an NFL player, so who
Yeah.
knows what.
Who the hell knows
Oh,
what an NFL player is at this point?
also, I don't know if you saw that Mac Jones saw a body, and I think it was Ray Brower.
Yeah. I there were there was so much NFL news today that I thought was like from like Ball Sack Sports or Fax Sports or whatever because I was like, wait, Mark Sanchez got stabbed? Like Mac Jones saw a dead body like he's Haley Joel Osment? Like what's happening today?
Vanderbilt's definitely turned. I mean, beyond Pavia, I think that like Stowers is definitely an NFL player. Singh is definitely an NFL player. Alexander is definitely an
Yeah.
NFL player. You have guys they all made impacts this today for
hmm
sure.
No, 100%. And like I think I was most impressed because like the one thing I was worried about for Vanderbilt coming into this game was their defense. And like Ty Simpson played a great game, but like he had to work to play a great game. And the entire Alabama offense had to play a great game. Like I've said it, I've mentioned this before, and like I'm still believe like Clark Lee and his staff, that might be the best coaching staff in the country. Like considering the difficulty of job that they have and like what the results that they're getting from these players, like yes, you've obviously like boosted the talent, but like the player development, the way that they scheme things up to give every team that they face fits, like that's I mean, that's all coaching.
Yeah, it's not just Lee. You've got Beck and Gregory as your two coordinators of note. You've got Jerry Kill on staff, Barton Simmons over there. I
Mhm.
mean, the staff that was also this good was probably Georgia Tech last year with Tyler Santucci, but now he's in Baltimore. I bet he regrets leaving now.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Georgia Tech probably wishes they still had him too.
And I think that's fair. Had a Vanderbilt point that was good, but it's lost forever. Uh,
Maybe
um,
you'll find it for Monday's episode.
we can only hope. And so I move on to Iowa State, and then we're going to go to Oklahoma. Iowa State was bound to lose one of these games.
Yeah.
Cincinnati was coming in hot. The odds makers knew something that I didn't want to admit that Brad Sorsby is really good and Scott Satterfield actually could coach. I mean, this guy was great at App State for a long time,
He really was.
so let's not overlook that part of it. But Iowa State battled back. They could have given up, but I think it just kind of shows that Matt Campbell is probably the best potential uh, to be had head coach out there.
Yeah.
Rocco Beck is kind of a little turnover prone, but again, with that comes an edge that Purdy didn't even have
Yeah.
when he played there. Maybe a more refined version of what Seneca Wallace was, where like you never feel that you're completely out of it because you got this guy at quarterback. You're going to lose games. I don't necessarily know if they're going to win the Big Ten or Big 12. They're not winning the Big Ten, maybe the Big 12. Uh,
I will
but
say they will not win the Big Ten. I'll put my foot down.
I think I think you're right. I think they beat Penn State handily. But that's
Oh yeah, 100%.
Indiana probably not. But that's
No.
there's things about this Iowa State team. Again, I'm higher on them than you have been,
Yeah.
and I mean I know that like this loss probably doesn't make you want to praise them all that much, but like I feel like this team, like I can trust them in the new Big 12 to be in the upper echelon, probably more so than anybody. I think that they have the staying power that they need to here. And you need a few teams come along like Cincinnati that you don't expect. Iowa State's right there.
No, I'm actually not too far off with you. Like you have been higher on Iowa State with me, but I still have a ton of respect for Matt Campbell. I think Matt Campbell's a phenomenal coach, and I think what you saw even in this game, like Iowa State didn't die. Like they didn't like they had a chance to roll over and just get their ass beat in this game, and like they tried to make a game of it and tried to come back, and like I think that's kind of what it looks like with Iowa State. Like you're in Ames, Iowa. Like you're never going to have a rich talent pool that you're pulling from. And like when you get a player like Rocco Beck, like yes, that does raise the ceiling just a little bit, but at the same time, like you when you catch a team's best shot, which I think they got probably Cincinnati's best shot today, like you're gonna lose some of those games. But with Matt Campbell and the way that this program develops players and the way that it coaches, like it's really hard to say that they're out of any of these games as well. And so like in the Big 12 where things do get wonky, like no, they're not dead at all. And also you look at the spot on the schedule, like it's not a particularly fun like spot on the schedule. Like you played in Ireland, like we still can't forget like the rigors of that. You got your bye week in week 4, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken. And then you had to play at home against Arizona, go on the road to Cincinnati, and you're going on the road to Colorado next week. Like it's a really tricky spot on the schedule and against the Cincinnati team that, like you mentioned, was peaking. So like I'm not going to fault Iowa State too terribly much for this. I think AP voters might because I think AP voters were looking for a reason to just discredit Iowa State because they're Iowa State. But at the end of the day, like I still think Iowa State's a good team, and I still think they're going to be in the Big 12 title picture.
Yeah, they really need that second bye because the first one just kind of came and went so quickly.
Yeah,
You talk about Ames like nobody's there. One of my favorite things about Ames is like I think at one point in time the Ames High School basketball team in Iowa at one point had Harrison Barnes and Doug McDermott both on that team, and neither of them
yeah.
played for the Clones.
Yeah, they were aiming to get out of Ames. That's what they were doing.
I'd rather go to Creighton and well, Harrison Barnes came to your school, so
Hell yeah, he
that's
did.
yeah,
Number
he
40,
did.
baby. That's my guy.
Number 40. And I don't know if number 40 means anything there in Oklahoma, but they become my new team that I don't trust. I don't trust them. I don't trust them at all. I was very quick to turn on. I don't trust Texas. I don't trust Penn State. I feel very validated in that. There's other teams out there too, but you beat Kent State. It doesn't look like John Mateer is going to play in Red River.
Which
Look,
sucks. I'm annoyed by that.
I think you'll still beat him because Arch Manning doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground.
Correct. Arch Manning versus a Brent Venables defense right now does not inspire a whole hell of a lot of confidence.
No. And Michael Hawkins Jr. played
Yeah,
decently today versus Kent State, and he'll play fine in Dallas. He's had starts here.
yeah,
I think they're going to be in a rude awakening for that schedule once they actually play somebody who's worth a damn. And I think the Michigan game, like yeah, they were decent, but that was I thought I saw the schedule for like that. Michigan's not winning that game,
yeah.
and how are you? It's like how are you going to look versus what LSU later on? How are you going to look versus Missouri later on? How are you going to look versus A&M, whoever else you have in your schedule? I know you're much higher on this, but like, and I'm going to have Oklahoma in the playoff picture for sure. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, FPI is not giving them as much of a chance as the number 5 ranking. I think that's insane.
So I think my big thing that I keep coming back to with Oklahoma is kind of what I just mentioned, in that Yes, those are like the schedule is still brutal. The schedule is still the schedule. They had, they didn't put out a new schedule midway through the season. So like you got a lot to navigate here. But this defense, man, like I just think that Brent Venables has I think last year one of the things we saw is Brent Venables pressing on the defensive side of the ball because he knew he could not rely on the offense. With Ben Arbuckle, I think he knows that he doesn't have to press quite as hard on defense and he can kind of be in his bag a little bit, so to speak. And when you think back to Brent Venables at Clemson and when Clemson was in its heyday, Venables was just like a master tactician. It didn't matter what all like you think about the ACC, so many different types of offenses that Venables was having to match up with, and it didn't matter. And like he's having going to have to do the same thing this year, but I think with just as talented players, like this Oklahoma defense is legit. And the big factor for me is like how long is Mateer out? And like is it like are we talking a couple games beyond Red River? Because if that's the case, then that's a problem because I think Michael Hawkins is a fine backup. He's probably one of the better backup quarterbacks in the country, like in terms of reliability because of his experience that he got last year and because he is a talented player, even if flawed. But like at the end of the day, like Mateer is the ceiling raiser if we're talking about college football playoff and like even potentially like national championship hopes. I think with but I think that the big thing with me is that the baseline is so high because Brent Venables doesn't have to like try to win games with defense anymore. He can just be the defensive mind that he was hired to be.
I would hope that that's the case here, and I wish they gave Jad Zach out the ball a little bit today, which I thought was
He's
cool.
alive. That's, is a good wellness check.
But I look at like Oklahoma and I compare it to Georgia. Oklahoma's got a better defense than the Georgia right now. Arbuckle's entrusted as much as Mike Bobo is, but like Arbuckle's been more effective. Although Bobo had a really good game today, I think
Yeah.
he circled in his son's a fantastic center. Drew Bobo's a future top 100 pick.
He was pulling them a lot today. I noticed that. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of tied my bow on it with Oklahoma here. It's like I'm wondering what happens when they get punched in the mouth,
Yeah.
and I don't know how because we've seen what happens when adversity strikes with Brent Venables. He becomes a Benny Crane of the Golf Boys.
Yeah. No, he's the OAR of college football coaches.
Is it crown molding when they hit you with the crown of your helmet? I don't know.
That's targeting, brother.
That's targeting, brother. And this was 3 yards in the cloud of punt here on False Start. You can follow me, John Buhler, on Twitter or the X at Buhler118. You can follow Cody Williams at The Sizzle20. You can follow the show at CFB False Start. Like, rate, listen, subscribe, review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere there's podcasts. Give us a 5-star review. That's what apparently Oklahoma is ranked, which I don't
Right.
agree with. That's fine. But, if you do 5 plus 5 and there's two of us, that's 12. They're going to be a top 12 team in my rankings tomorrow. I can guarantee you that.
They will be top 12. I mean, we would like if you've stuck around to the end of the show, I think one thing that we talked about pre-show that we do need to reiterate is there might be 4 or 5 good college football teams that like in the country at this point because the parity in the sport is unbelievable right now.
Yeah, there may only be about 4 or 5 teams that can win a national title. And I think
Mhm.
right now there's only 7 teams I feel pretty confident are going to make the playoff.
Yeah, there's
And
still
that'll be
a lot of football left to be played, man.
also shout out to Virginia winning in overtime again, man.
Dude, Tony Ellis just trying to get the game to OT, baby.
Chandler Morris is trying to get it to OT, baby. He's
That's right. I bet Chad wishes he could have gotten to OT.
what's his middle name? Powers, Chad Powers.
Oh, probably.
Uh, don't be a Chad if you got to be a dad because this is false.